this border bill, $118 billion, of which only $20 billion is actually going to be spent on the border. The House isn't going to support it. They're going to encourage basically the Flores Amendment on steroids, because they're going to still expedite people who come in with kids. So that's the one thing that changes, is that's going to be official. So that's going to encourage the child trafficking. They said $40 billion is going to be allotted to respond to situations in foreign policy or foreign situations like Ukraine, Taiwan, Israel. But only $20 billion for the border. It is, any Republican pushing this is a traitor to the people. And again, that's not a strong sentence to say when you consider that throughout American history, every single time something like this has been proposed and become law, you have lost, it doesn't get walked back. You don't walk it back. You didn't get to walk back Obamacare, and that was when we had a Republican president, a Republican House. You didn't get to do that. It didn't happen. We didn't see 2A infringements rolled back. We haven't seen fiscal restrictions or regulations rolled back. I haven't seen any of this. When it becomes law, it's law. It's just garbage, absolute garbage. And then with this too, in this bill, one of the other things because there's bits and pieces, you can speed read it using Control F, because honestly, that's what I've been doing, is going through and looking at different aspects of it. One of the other things, you've got DC federal judges, they're giving them control over an immigration system. That's one of the things that is happening with this bill. So don't trust this, the proposal that because, we're going to have more judges involved with adjudicating these cases, et cetera. No, because you're giving them, it's all under Biden DOJ, and you're giving them to DC judges. It's a farce. It's an absolute farce. And additionally, by centralizing a lot of these decisions that are affecting mostly border states, as Kane points out, you're also removing state sovereignty to be able to control what happens within its own borders. I mean, this is bad. There's nothing about this that's good. Bill Malugin noted that the $60 billion in Ukraine assistance in this bill is larger than the entire budget that the U.S. Marine Corps requested for the fiscal year 2024. The entire budget that the U.S. Marine Corps requested for 2024 was $53 billion. The Ukraine assistance in the Senate deal is $60 billion. We are spending more money on Ukraine than we are our own military. We are spending more money on a foreign land dispute with a weakened Russia that, if it was going to challenge NATO, would have had no problems in taking over Ukraine with the resistance that it found. We are spending more on that than we are on our own military. That is inexcusable. So no, it is. It is a slap in the face to American voters. And it gives the D.C. District Court not just authority, and this is one of the things I wanted to point out, and this is it under judicial review on this subsection. Let me just read this. This was page 2 something. It says, notwithstanding any other provision of this act, judicial review of any decision or action in this section shall be governed only by the United States District Court for the District of Columbia, which shall have sole and original jurisdiction to hear challenges, whether constitutional or otherwise, to the validity of this section or any written policy directive, written policy guideline, written policy procedure, or the implementation thereof issued by or under the authority of the Secretary to implement the section. So the big sentence is only by the United States District Court for the District of Columbia. They have sole and original jurisdiction. So what does this mean? It means that this bill grants the D.C. District Court, the far left D.C. District Court, absolute, exclusive, unquestionable authority over any and all current and future immigration disputes. Do you trust that? Do you want to have that be permanent law? This is what I would ask all of these Republican lawmakers any of the Republican lawmakers that are supporting this. There seems to be few in the House, more in the Senate, but you support that because that's what you have. Ken Paxton notes that it's a disaster and it enshrines open border policies. And he also points out that the legal challenges to these provisions to be heard in a highly partisan D.C. court. And this is a penalty to Texas, because Texas, as he noted, created major slowdowns to this open borders doctrine. Because and as Paxton notes, quote, our constitutional system allows us to sue the federal government in fair venues. What Biden, Mayorkas, and the Senate Union Party in the swamp want to do is prevent the Texas AG and all other state AGs from acting as a check on the federal government's tyrannical abuses of power. So what AG Paxton is noting is that all of these challenges that you see being brought by these AGs, this is the way to strip them of that ability to do so and centralize it in D.C. with the D.C. District Court. That's exactly what this is. This is one of the remaining checks and balances that Republicans have been able to use on an unaccountable Biden administration regarding this open border doctrine, and they are removing it in this bill, stripping it entirely. That is not an exaggeration, as I literally just read verbatim the passage to you, and they are enshrining it in the far-left D.C. District Court. So when I say that Republicans, any Republican lawmaker supporting this is a traitor to the Republic, that is not an exaggeration. You don't walk something like this back once it's made law. You do not, once you give away your sovereignty, your state sovereignty, once you give away the power of the AG to be able to temper what the federal government is doing, you're not going to get it back. Point to me at any time in American history where that has happened. It hasn't.